Good girl, stay there, stay there. Okay, so young Belle, the spaniel, stay there. She's a twitcher, she's a creeper. She's got the tendency to creep when over excitement. Okay, now steadiness or braking or temptation or impulse control, call it whatever you like. If a dog brakes or runs in or moves without us saying so, okay, what it's done is it's not learned or managed to control its excitement in the job. Every dog will brake. No matter how many years you do this, how many dogs you train, if you're out in the field, at some point every dog is going to brake because the excitement of the day is just going to become so overwhelming. Stay there. Yeah, and it will look at you and go, oh, Dad's not looking at me. I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to see if I can get away with it. Okay, so how do we deal with that? Couple of ways to do it. One is to have a lead on and use a physical restraint to the lead when you are stood next to a young dog. So the dummy would go out, the dog instinctively is going to go and want to chase it. Because we've done it right, we've created the game of fetch to be so rewarding, so stimulating, so exciting that these little gun dogs love to play the game of fetch. However, once we've got that drive and that excitement and that enthusiasm in the game of retrieving or fetch, we need to bring it back down and then teach these little dogs, yes, you can get it, but only when I send you for it or only when I tell you you can go and get it. So potentially, if a dog brakes or becomes accustomed to braking or not being steady or running in, call it whatever you like, it's going to be our fault. It's our fault because what we've done is we've allowed the dog distance, space or an angle to do just that, just to go, okay? So when we're training this, as you can see, I'm backing away, backing forward, I'm claiming this distance between me and this little dog. So if the dog decides to come towards me through lack of impatience or excitement, or she sees what's going on, okay, then instantly I'm going to claim that ground between me and her, okay? Hand up to give her something visual, but I'm theoretically providing or showing her a wall to stop her from twitching or braking. Every time she gets a little bit twitchy, I'm going to step in, stay there. Use stay, use wait, use whatever word you like, okay? Now, where people make the mistakes is they allow the dog to fail by doing just so. They'll stand by the side of the dog, throw a dummy out or a retrieve, and the dog will just brake every single time. Yes, you can have it on a lead or a short lead, okay? So the dog will self-check itself. But another thing that people do, good girl, come on here, sit there, is they'll turn around to then go and place the dummy out. And before you know it, that dog is following you up the field. Okay, so we've got a long line on here, just in case. Just started looking at this. However, I am always going to be in a position to deal with her braking if she makes the decision to do so. So we start off like this, Belle over the head, there it goes. I'm not taking my eye off of her. She's looking around me to where that ball has just fallen. I don't know where it is, okay? So instead of me walking back round the side, I'm going to walk back to her. Okay, stop it, sit there, stopping her from thinking that she has the distance and the space to brake. So when I'm right beside her here, I'm going to step to the side now, but this left leg here is still able to control her if she decides to brake for the retrieve. Okay, so this left leg here is sit there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this leading leg out the way and cast her on it. Belle, good. And away she goes. So that's one way of introducing it. Come on in, sweetheart. Good girl. Come on in. Good girl, good girl, good girl. Good girl, okay. A little bit of messing around there. So that's something that she's just shown me that we need to look at. We need to drill in a bit of a recall into her so she comes back more instantly. Belle, good girl, sit there, sit there. So we weren't allowing that dog to fail because our body positioning and the way that we just stood and the way that we just walked and the way that we just handled this little dog never gave her the opportunity to do so. So we start off over the back of the head, nice simple stuff. Then what we do is we test the dog. Okay, still got a distance, and I'm still ready to step in if she becomes a little bit twitchy. But instead of putting it behind my head on this straight line, I'm going to test the little dog and put it out to one side. However, stay there. So she could go and get that now, all right? However, I've still got to be ready to step into the line to stop her from doing it, okay? Same principle. I'm going to close that gap down if she thinks about twitching. If she breaks, I'm ready to step into that line to stop her from doing it. Exactly the same principle, but because that is away from me, I'm going to stand on the other side. So I've still got this leading leg to stop her from breaking. Belle, good girl. Sit there, like so. When she's calm, looks at me, remove that leg. Belle, where you go? And away she goes. Good girl, hunting there. Now I'm not going to handle her while she's hunting. I want her to gain confidence. I want her to learn. I want her to find that tennis ball of her own ability. Good girl, in we come. Good girl. Oh. Good girl. And sit there. Lovely girl. Good girl. Sit there. Okay. Still got to look at the delivery. Still got to look at the recall straight back to us. Come on in, sweetheart. Good girl. Sit there. Good. Sit there. Good girl. So if a dog breaks, it's our fault because we have not positioned our body or positioned ourselves, sit there, in the right way, at the right angle, at the right distance, to never set the dog up to risk and break by itself. Stay there. Then when she gets a little bit familiar, come on sweetheart, good girl, sit there. Then we can take the angle away altogether. However, this leg is still there, it's still in play. Stay there. Good girl. Remove the leg. Belle, fetch it. And away she goes. Good girl, good girl. Good girl, come on in. Let's not mess about. She's got it in her mouth, but she's messing around, so that's the next thing we need to look at. Good girl. Come on, good girl. And sit there. Good girl, yay. Hey, in here. Sit. Sit. Good. So, breaking dogs, unsteady dogs, dogs with no impulse control, blah, 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 blah. Every dog will break. I promise you that. No matter how old they are, how well trained they are, how good they are, every dog's going to break at some point in its working life or its working career. So as many times or as much times as we can do to alleviate that risk by where we stand, where we approach the dog, where we throw the retrieves of what we want the dog to go and get, we're never giving the dog a physical opportunity to break without us being ready for it. Belle, good girl, sit there. Good girl. Well done, buddy. Good girl.